detectives, and welcome to my video for January, the very last video that I'm ever going to film in this room, because pretty much as soon as I've finished filming, I'm going to put all of these books in boxes and they're going to be moved to my brand new house, which will have a brand new study. And so the next time you see a video from me, I will be filming from there and showing you, I hope, my beautiful display of all of my books in my study. And I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Now, I know I said last month that this month I was going to be back with book recommendations, but for the first time ever, I spent Christmas and New Year's and January reading almost no new books, which is so weird for me. But there is a reason for it. And of course, the first reason is I'm about to move house and I have been working really hard to get everything ready for my big house move. But the second reason for it is because I have been working so hard on the second draft of Murder Most Unladylike Book 9. So this month's video is not going to be a book recommendation video. This month's video is basically me just giving you an update on everything I have been doing. Now, I handed in the first draft of Murder Most Unladylike Book 9 just before Christmas, and so I had a little bit of time off during the Christmas break, and then I had to get straight back to work and write the second draft. Now, when I gave in the first draft of Murder Most Unladylike Book 9, I knew that it wasn't perfect yet, and that's the case with all of my books. My first drafts are always the worst drafts, and so if you write a first draft and you don't think it's very good, don't worry. That's just the way first drafts are. The point of editing a book, working on it more, is to make it much better, and I knew that. But I also knew that there was something just really fundamentally not right yet about Murder Most Unladylike Book 9. There was something that I hadn't cracked yet in the way I was writing it, and I just wasn't very happy with it. And when I got my notes back from my editor and my agent, they are two very perceptive, smart women, and they always notice the things that I notice, and I don't really want anybody else to see. They saw them and they said, "This is great, but the middle of the book, the mystery, the story, the setting, it's not quite right. You really need to do a lot of work on it." So I realized I had a really big task to deal with this month. I realized that I would pretty much need to rewrite the middle part of the book. And I was working away on it, and it felt like it was getting a bit better, but not really good enough, and I was really feeling quite worried. And then I went to Egypt. Now, a lot of you, if you follow my Instagram or my Twitter account, a lot of you will have seen that I was planning this trip to Egypt, and I went last week. It was something that I wasn't sure I needed to do. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to go. Would there be time? And I am so glad, though, that I made time for it and I decided to go. And I'm so glad I could afford to as well, because as soon as I got there, I went on the Nile. I went on a cruise just like Daisy and Hazel do in the book. And as soon as I arrived on the boat, I realized the thing that had been missing from Murder Most Unladylike Book 9 until that point. And that thing was that I fundamentally didn't really know what it was like to be in Egypt. I'm a very visual writer. I'm someone who sees the plots of my books like films in my head. I smell what my characters are smelling. I see what they're seeing. I hear what they're hearing. And in the first draft of Murder Most Unladylike Book 9, because I hadn't been to Egypt since I was sort of 16, 17 years old, I had forgotten what it was like to be there. So I had no descriptions of what it was like to be in Egypt. I didn't have a frame of reference. I couldn't see the book like a film in my head, or I could see only bits of it. And so the first draft just didn't have the heart that I knew it needed to have. But as soon as I got to Egypt and I started looking around and I saw what the light was like in the sky, and I saw how the people dressed and how the people were acting, and what birds were there and what food was there and what it smelt like and how hot or cold it was, I suddenly just got it. I got what the book should be about. I knew what I needed to write. And during our cruise, we spent 4 days going from Luxor to Aswan, going to see all these beautiful temples that I've read about so much in books, and I'm sure you have as well. It was so exciting. But during that time, every minute we weren't in an actual temple. I was sitting up on the top deck of our cruise ship and I was writing, and I pretty much rewrote the whole book as I needed to do. And I've just handed in that rewritten book that I was working on so hard while we were in Egypt. I know it's not quite right yet. There are bits that still don't quite fit. There are new characters I added in this draft that aren't perfect yet, that I'm still just sketching out. But I can finally feel that the book has the heart I needed to have. It works. It makes sense. I can see it in my head. The film is rolling in a way it just wasn't before. And I think this is really interesting because I know, or at least I think I know, that I'm an author who really needs to see books, as I said earlier, but somehow I had forgotten that. Somehow I thought that just what I thought I knew about Egypt was enough. And of course it wasn't. And I was so lucky to be able to go to Egypt. And of course, that's not something that everyone can do. And I really can only do it because this is the 9th book in my series. And I actually can expense things in a way that I never could when I was just starting out being a writer. But it really did remind me that when you write, you have to write, or if you're writing about the real world, you should be writing about somewhere you know, about what you know. That is just because you need to make the story feel real to your readers. So it needs to feel real to you. And if you don't know what you're writing about, if you've never been there, if you've only heard stories about it, it just doesn't work in the same way as if you're writing about a place that you care deeply about. And I think that's why it was so easy for me, so fun for me to write Murder Most Unladylike, because it was about a place that I knew so intimately. I knew everything about Deep Dean School because it was based on my school. And again, I think that's a tip for you if you want to start writing. Think about a place you know really well. Think about people you know really well and write about those people. Doesn't matter if they're not the kind of people or places that you see in books often, don't worry about that. But do choose a place that you can write confidently about, and then you can create the bones of the story around it. You can make up anything happening in that place. You can make up a murder, even if murder has never actually happened to you, and I hope it hasn't. You can make up an alien invasion, anything you want, but start with a place that you really know well. And again, I'm so glad, and I feel so lucky that I was able to go on the Nile. And I know that Murder Most Unladylike Book 9, when it comes out in August, will be 100% better than it could have been without it. The book would have just really been nothing without that trip, and so I'm so glad that I got to go. So that is what I've been doing this month, frantically working on that book and of course traveling to work on that book. So I've finished the draft now. I am extremely tired, extremely proud of myself, and really excited to see what my editor and my agent think of this brand new draft. Now, I do keep saying this, but I promise that next month normal service will resume again, and I will start giving you some of the new exciting books that I have piled up on my shelf that I haven't read yet. Lots of new books for this year that publishers have been sending me, and I can't wait to get stuck into them, and I can't wait to tell you about them as well. When you see my next video, will be in my new house, and that is what I'm going to be doing over the next week or two, packing and unpacking boxes, which is actually kind of exciting. I'm really looking forward to moving into our beautiful new house, which I love, and I will hopefully be giving you a bit of a tour of the bookshelves of it when I am settled in. If you want to meet me, come say hi to me. I am starting up my touring again in February. I am going to be at the Imagine Festival at the South Bank Centre in London on the 18th of February. And you can get tickets for that now by going either on my website, robin-stevens.co.uk/calendar, or going on the South Bank Centre's website. And then for World Book Day, because of course my World Book Day book, The Case of the Drowned Pearl, comes out at the end of February, and World Book Day itself is at the beginning of March. I'm going to be doing a whole week of events in honor of that book being released, and in honor of World Book Day, I'll be visiting lots of schools, but I'll also be doing a lot of public events. And so if you want to meet me, just keep watching my website calendar, and I will put up all of the events, all the public events, as soon as I can, because we're just finalizing them now, and we should be able to let you know about them really soon. And after that, I will have a full programme of events in the spring and summer. I will be at the Oxford Literature Festival, the Cambridge Literature Festival, and a lot more that have yet to be announced. So just keep checking that website calendar of mine and keep checking your area for events near you. Of course, I can't come to every single place that wants to see me. I can't visit every school. I can't visit every bookshop, even though I really wish I could, because I just need to leave time to write my book. I need to make sure that Murder Most Unladylike 9 is as good as it possibly can be, because of course it is the last full-length novel in the Murder Most Unladylike mysteries series, and so I couldn't publish it without knowing that it was the best it possibly could be, so I need to really work on it. But I am making sure to make time to travel a lot and visit lots of places to do lots and lots of events. So keep checking my website calendar and I will be traveling as much as I can. So that is what is coming up for me. The Case of the Drowned Pearl coming out at the end of February for World Book Day. That is a short story, but quite a long short story. And then a full-length book, Murder Most Unladylike Mysteries 9, is coming in August the 6th. It will be out in the UK and Ireland, and it will be out everywhere else. The Puffin edition is published a few weeks later, usually. I think South Africa and Hong Kong and Australia and New Zealand, you will all get that edition, but just a little bit later than the UK and Ireland. So that is what's coming for me. But for now, I am going to say goodbye to you so I can go and finish my packing. I hope you're having a wonderful beginning to 2020, and I will see you in February.